And this is the real Joe Biden. I'm Boris Epstein, strategic advisor to Trump 2020. Joining me tonight, Stacey Washington, co-chair of Black Voices for Trump, and the one and only Corey Lewandowski, senior advisor Trump 2020 and the campaign manager on Trump 2016. Let's dive right in. The third night of this terrible snooze fest. Stacey, quick takeaways.
Not better than last night, which isn't saying much. So we're getting a lot of them coming out and complaining about the president, not a lot of ideas, not a lot of concrete policy solutions, and they have no accomplishments to run on. Same as last night.
Corey?
Look, I think this is going to be the Democrats' best night. Joe Biden, we know, is going to be a failure tomorrow night. They put up their best heavy hitters in really their third slot tonight. You had Barack Obama there, their leader of the Democratic Party, other than the AOC wing, and now their rising star Kamala Harris to talk about the failures, really, of the first 8 years of the Obama-Biden administration, asking for the failures of 4 more years of the Biden world. So, look, this was their biggest night. It was still a failure, but there's a lot to discuss.
I was struck by the fact that crooked Hillary Clinton went so early in the night. It's just like her husband did last night. It's obvious that the Clintons are being hidden by this Democratic Party, but they can't really fully get rid of them. What did you think of the lineup? It was in primetime Hillary Clinton, then Nancy Pelosi with that terrible glitch that she had. She started speaking over the moderator, then Pocahontas, and then Barack Obama. By the way, the shot was terrible. I thought they couldn't even frame him up right. And then Kamala Harris. What did you think of the lineup? It was a little surprising to me, Stacey.
Well, so I was really surprised to see Bill Clinton come out yesterday with the whole Me Too movement and how we were told that we have to believe all women, which should have excluded him. Then we have Hillary. Who,
you didn't like his lecture on how the Oval Office should be a command center?
No,
I think Bill's not the right person to take those.
That was a little ironic.
Other extracurricular activities. Yeah. I don't think it was a command center, but there were other extracurricular activities.
It made me have thoughts that were not appropriate for this good air here. So
we're not going to talk about that.
We're not going to talk about it. Yeah. So we're going to keep it at 90%, as we said earlier, and not go all the way. But listen, Boris, I have a problem with the Clintons being there at all. They have problems. They don't bring any solutions. They don't even bring any coalitions anymore. They no longer have a base of support that they can bring along to warrant them being on stage. They should have had somebody young and fresh, except all of their young and fresh people are on the hard left and not palatable for middle America, that's who they're trying to talk to.
Did you think that Hillary was at all effective? Did she bring anything to the Democrats tonight on this night of retreads that they had?
Well, she didn't, and I really think that this was going to be the Barack Obama and Kamala Harris show tonight. You know, the disappointing part, Barack Obama talked about this fact of how he was this great moral leader, except he forgot to mention he spied on the Trump campaign. He allowed the members of his administration, the Comey, Clapper, Brennans, to go and spy on American citizens on domestic soil. He was fully aware of it. We know that. Joe Biden was complicit in this conversation that took place in the Oval Office. There was no mention of that. And it was the first time in 240 years of our nation's history there wasn't a peaceful transition of power from one president to the other. Barack Obama forgot to mention those things.
President Obama has been historically known as a good orator, a good speaker. Did we see that tonight at all? I mean, I was bored pretty much from the get-go. What happened?
Well, I think, look, he's trying to relive his limelight, right? He doesn't want to pass the torch. He said how he and Joe are such great friends, but he never endorsed Joe in his own primary. Look, Joe's in the battle for his life, and when it came down to it, Barack Obama wasn't there with him. He said, oh, Joe and I are brothers, and he's done all these great things with me. The truth is, when Joe Biden wanted him the most, Barack Obama was nowhere to be found. Didn't endorse him in the New Hampshire primary, didn't endorse him in the Iowa caucus, didn't endorse him in South Carolina, and only after Barack Obama realized that Joe Biden was going to be the nominee of the Democratic Party did he put his support behind him. They're not really friends. They're what we call frenemies.
Oh, frenemies. I like that. And the endorsement that Barack Obama did in the end do was so sort of half-hearted and sad. And you know what I found it to be? Energy lacking. Just like this whole night was low energy. I mean, Jeb Bush might as well have been a speaker, right? They may have put Jeb Bush up there. It was so low energy. What did you think of that? Did you find any energy at all tonight?
No. So one of the things I thought was kind of surprising about Obama's appearance tonight was that he doesn't seem to have that same luster that he had before. No, not only did he not bring it, but there wasn't any of that historic nature. They used to have flags flying overhead, billowing, the iconic imagery. He wasn't able to muster that up this evening, which is kind of par for the course for the whole night. It was actually a letdown.
Look, I think the biggest winner tonight is Mike Lindell, the MyPillow guy. Everybody's asleep. The guy sold more pillows than anybody, right? These guys are just putting everybody to sleep. So Mike Lindell's a very happy guy tonight. He sold a lot of pillows, is my guess.
Well, Corey, you and I have been on both Trump campaigns and honored to be so. And we know, right, that, and Stacey does as well, that a campaign reflects the candidate. How did tonight reflect sleepy Joe Biden?
Well, it didn't. Look, when you listen to the speech from the vice presidential nominee, she talked about a lot of things. The government takeover of health care. She forgot to mention it's going to cost the American taxpayers $32 trillion if that actually happens. She talks about safety and security for the African-American community. No one wants to talk about the crimes that take place every single day in the south side of Chicago, that nobody's ever fixed that problem. We have a community there that is predominantly African-American, that is disproportionately affected by violence, and no one's done anything about it. These are elected officials. Joe Biden has been in Washington, D.C. for over 5 decades, in elective office between the United States Senate and the vice president for 44 years. He had an opportunity to solve these problems, and he didn't. He has no reason to be given another opportunity for 4 more years. And Kamala Harris, as it comes to police brutality, when she was the attorney general and an MS-13 gang member killed a police officer in the line of duty, she could have prosecuted that person, gave him the death penalty. Well, she took a pass against the advice of the widow of that slain officer. That will never be forgotten from the men and women who wear the uniform.
Let's be honest. We all know that part of the message from President Obama and Kamala Harris is on race, right? They're trying to check the box. They're trying to play identity politics. Does that at all resonate? Did they make a point with Joe Biden as their candidate? Can you really be talking about race with his history from racial jungles that he talked about in 1973 throughout the 70s, from him talking about African-American men being predators in the 90s, and just in the last couple of months, you ain't black if you don't support me.
Right.
Are you a junkie on cocaine to a black reporter?
Right.
And then intimating that all black people are the same? How can that dissidence be solved?
Well, and you forgot one of my favorites, which is that he learned about cockroaches from black kids with the white leg hair and all of that at the pool. Yeah. I mean, he's got a lot of, well, he has a lot of interesting things that he likes. None of them are great policy, and none of them are a record of success that we can go on. So when you talk about Joe Biden and the 44 or 47, I'm not sure which, but it's been a very long time.
It's a lot.
And then you contrast that with President Trump, 3.5 years, laundry list of accomplishments, and a total plan for what he's going to do in the future. So, for Corey, for you, Boris, you guys are not permanently tanned, but I am, and I can say I found no energy there. I'm not looking for someone to pander to me because I'm black. I'm looking for someone to talk to me as if I'm an American. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a business owner. I have a lot of things going on, and he can impact those in a negative way, as democratically led cities are showing us right now. If you own a business in a democratically led city, you're watching it burn. If you are a single mom or someone who deserves protection from the police, you don't have that if you live in a democratically led city. He should be denouncing that stuff. That's one way he could at least move to the middle a little bit and get some traction. But he's not going to do that because those are his stormtroopers. Right. Antifa, Black Bloc, the Democrats own them. Black Lives Matter, that's their people. So we don't have to worry about much in that way of him appealing to blacks. I'm calling it. I called it last week. He's going to give us 2 hits a week. 2 hits, gaffes about black people a week. That's what we're up to now. If he keeps that up, we don't have to worry so much about how we're going to win the battleground states because blacks are already flocking to our party at 36% per the last Rasmussen study. We're looking at a possibility of 41% of the black vote. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's have some change. Let's see some more lives improved. That's what President Trump is bringing with the Opportunity Zones, the First Step Act, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. People act like that didn't affect black people. It definitely did. We love that bill. That was great for our family. So, yeah, Joe Biden's not bringing anything for us if we're looking at it strictly from that perspective. But I hate that. I'm sick and tired of people acting as if when you talk to black people, because notice the only person who does that is Joe Biden. He's the only candidate who says, you ain't black. They gon' put y'all back in chains. You have no diversity. You ain't black. Does he talk to Hispanics like that? Does he say ain't to white voters? No, it's just the blacks that he talks to in that way. And as one of the blacks, I'm sick of him using poor English with me. He could speak to me like any other American because I understand English, I speak it, and I expect to be spoken to in a respectful manner if you want my vote. That's powerful. Corey, as you've seen these first 3 days, and we look forward to tomorrow. I mean, what Stacey just said really laid out an indictment on the Biden-Harris agenda. Do you see any way they turn it around tomorrow?
Look, I've been on the road a lot. I've been talking to the American people across this country. I have not come across one person who said to me, I can't wait to call 911 and have Antifa show up at my house, burn down my home, burn down my community, destroy my schools, make sure my kids aren't safe. That doesn't happen. And Stacey's exactly right. Look, I know President Trump as well as probably anybody on the planet.
That's true.
He treats everybody exactly the same. White, green, black, orange, purple, yellow, it doesn't matter. If he doesn't like you, he lets you know about it. He's an equal opportunist. I say it all the time. I've had my head torn off from the guy more than anybody on the planet, okay? I'm an old white guy, and it's happened many times. That being said, I think that's what the American people want, and that's what they deserve. I find it demeaning that Joe Biden's only criteria for picking a vice presidential candidate was not the best person for the job. Look, I had this job for Donald Trump. I was the chairman of the vice presidential selection committee. I didn't say I'm going to go pick a person based on their race, their ethnicity, their gender, their socioeconomic status, their religion. I just said I want the best person for the job in case Donald Trump, for some reason, can't do this job. Joe Biden said, not me. The first criteria is you have to be born as a female or identify yourself as a female. Next, you have to be a minority, meaning you have to be African American or black, which means every Latino, every Hispanic, every other race was absolutely immediately disqualified. That's not how we do it in America. It's not the right way to do it. It's the best person for the job. Joe Biden panders to race, and he will lose because of it.
And Corey makes a point, Boris, and everybody needs to hear it. When we look back on the candidacy for vice president of Kamala Harris, it will not be that we say she was the right tool for the job. It will be that she was the black female that they felt could raise the most money and balance a ticket with Joe Biden because he's suffering from dementia. That is an indictment. That's an indictment. And that is also something that is a shame because as a woman, I never want you to tell me, well, Stacey, we invited you up here because you're black, because you're a woman, because you're 6 feet tall. Whatever your thing is, I want you to say you're here because you have something to contribute. If I don't have anything to contribute and you're just bringing me in as what they always say, I'm a token. That's what they say. The only reason President Trump likes me is because I'm black and I'm a woman. Nonsense. I'm a token. It's nonsense. I've talked to the president. He's just like you said. He's real. But if they call me a token, but they chose Kamala as the ultimate token only because she's black and a woman, what does that really say about what they think about black people?
I mean, the Democrats have been wrong on race for a long time. We all know that. It hasn't changed. As we wrap up the first segment, Corey, parting thoughts as we look forward to tomorrow and the rest of the race.
Look, this is going to be Joe Biden's moment in the sun. I don't think it's going to shine very brightly because I don't think he has a lot of energy to deliver. But this is very important for Joe Biden. Look, this race right now, the Democrats have gotten no bump by picking Kamala Harris as their vice presidential nominee. When you are a candidate, you are expecting a 10-point lead coming out of your convention. That has not happened. As a matter of fact, this campaign, the Trump campaign, has shrunk their lead even by CNN's own estimates, which actually means we're winning right now. That's a bad sign for the Democrats right now. We have a great week ahead of us. They have to perform exceptionally well tomorrow. They don't have any star power to do that. They're going to come out of their convention, the first major convention, behind in a race in probably the last 50 years.
You heard it here. Thank you so much. Stay with us. Text 88022. Text Trump to 88022 to talk to the campaign directly. We'll be right back with the real Joe Biden. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the real Joe Biden. Do not forget to text Trump to 88022. Text Trump to 88022 to interact directly with our campaign. So we're back, and joining us is Paris Denard, Senior Communications Advisor to the RNC.
Yes, sir.
Paris, it's good to see you, my friend. And, of course, back with us again, Stacey Washington, a co-chair of Black Voices for Trump, which Paris is also a member of. Paris, in the last segment, we talked about the night overall, talked about the flow, but let's go back. Let's talk about the whole 3 days. What are your impressions from the first 3 days of the socialist meetup?
What strikes me is how boring it is.
I
mean, it is just about doom and gloom and depression. I don't know what America they're living in, but it's not the America that I'm living in, you're living in, my friends, my family. They want to portray this America as something that it's not, because they cannot give President Trump any credit for actually having a safe America, a prosperous America. And so if you're watching it, I mean, you've got to be just between going to bed or like playing on Facebook. I mean, it's not fun. It's not inspiring. And you know why, Boris? It's because the leader of their party, the person at the top of the ticket, is not inspirational. He's not aspirational. Donald Trump is an inspirational and an aspirational leader. That's why the enthusiasm is on our side, and you're not going to get that at that convention night 1, night 2, and we certainly didn't get it night 3.
We've seen the numbers for viewership for the DNC go way down. I mean, the first night was down by, I believe, about 25%. The second night was down, I think, by about 50, almost 50%. So what does that say about the Democrat enthusiasm for the Biden-Harris ticket?
So you normally would see that you bring in your vice presidential nominee and that person gives you a boost. That's the whole point.
Right.
Is you bring in someone who brings a coalition. They bring something to the table, even if it's charisma, whatever they're bringing,
Right.
it helps boost
Sure.
it. We don't have that same impact. He actually lost market share after the announcement that the VP was Kamala. But there's something interesting. While this is all happening, you have President Trump with the Trump Tillas or flotillas, the boat parades.
The boat parades.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
love
they're
the
going on.
Where are Biden's boat parades?
There aren't any. And we're talking about 11.8 million boats in the United States. So that's a sizable amount of people. And people are outdoing each other with contests. Who can have the biggest flotilla? Right. And this is happening every weekend across the country. And that's just part of it. The president, wherever he turns up, you have all of the supporters lining the streets. You have a few protesters, but mostly it's supporters. They're waving, they're holding signs, they're holding babies up for him to look at in onesies that say, "Make America Great Again." He's got a lot of enthusiasm. Well, President Trump certainly loves the babies. He's always kissing them, all of them. So this is something that is a stark difference for Americans to look at. Americans love a winner.
Yes.
Right now we have a winner. We have someone who actually cares deeply for us. And then you have Joe Biden and Kamala, who that speech she just gave,
What was that?
What was that? I can't.
Did you take anything away from Kamala Harris' speech that could be useful for them as they go toward November 3rd? Was there anything there that could get extra votes?
No, she's not going to get extra votes. I think she's going to continue to turn people off, because what you saw was just the phoniness. I mean, you go back and watch the debates. You see what she said, calling him a racist, being with segregationists. And somebody, even in the video, had one of the T-shirts of her talking about, "I'm the little girl from the busing."
Oh, yeah.
In
I'm
the
that
video.
girl.
That was in the video. No, it was?
It was in the video. And so
it.
when you look at this speech that she gave tonight, it just reinforces that she's an opportunist and that she's a phony. And trying to paint Joe Biden into some civil rights hero. Joe Biden hasn't cared about black people for 47 years. He's certainly not going to care about us now. He didn't do anything but lock us up. When you look at the crime bill and the things that he said as a bigot, I mean, this is not someone that any black person would want to lock arms with and say, "I'm standing with you. I believe in you. You're fighting for us." That's not Joe Biden. She knows it. The black community knows it. And that's why when you watch Kamala Harris speak, while they may call it historic, to me, it's phony and it's embarrassing and it's wrong.
And Biden has lied about his record on civil rights. He tries to paint himself as a leader, but then there's video of him from the 70s saying, "I did not march." Isn't that right?
Boris, I watched that yesterday, so I was actually unaware of this. So each week, a new cornucopia of negative comments and revelations about Joe Biden and what he has or has not done.
He's a treasure trove.
He's a treasure trove, like digging for gold, only instead of gold, we're getting garbage. But he's definitely claimed a lot of like civil rights.
Right.
It's almost like his bona fides.
He said he was arrested in South Africa with Nelson Mandela.
Yeah, and then he marched here in the U.S. Neither of those things happened, and we have him on video, because YouTube is forever, actually saying that he didn't do it. Right. He said, I wasn't a part of that. So just own who you are. I like a person who comes straight at me. And if I don't like something, I can assess that, and I can just decide how much of that is going to impact what I do. With Joe Biden, there's so much falsehood, and mixed in with the fact that he's suffering from, the cognitive decline. It's just a recipe for disaster. And we saw that, and we're going to see it again when he speaks again, and every time he speaks. So, Americans really have to be saying to themselves, is this what I want for 4 years? Is this what I really want to put up with for 4 years? Or Kamala's laughing, and also false statements, and also the maligning that she does of Americans, because she thinks everyone who voted for President Trump is a racist. Even Paris and I.
Paris, do you think that Joe Biden's history of lying on this issue, his history of racism, let's be honest, was part of the reason that Barack Obama didn't want to endorse him for so long? I mean, was that part of the equation there?
I think there's no doubt that Barack Obama and the rest of the Democrats knew that Joe Biden was not the inspirational candidate that was going to take America forward. They know that Joe Biden is the candidate that's going to take America backwards, because he thinks in a backwards manner. The things that he says about black people, the things that how he says that we're not diverse, how he called a journalist a cocaine junkie.
Disgusting.
I mean, he is not someone who has the record or the plan for the future that's going to empower any group. And they know that. When you're going to raise taxes, have open borders, get rid of charter schools, this is what Joe Biden is talking about doing for the future. So we don't even have to look for his past. The future is just as dark and scary and bad. And it is not going to help the black community or America at all.
As we go forward into tomorrow, it's the last night of this very sleepy.
Thank the Lord.
We should all do a prayer to be thankful for it being the last night. I mean, is there any way they turn the Sleep Fest, this Communist Manifesto, socialist meetup around, Paris? I mean, is there anything they could do?
No, because you're supposed to end on a high note, and they're going to end with Joe Biden.
Is he going to be okay tomorrow?
Hopefully he shows up to the right place, know what he's saying, and know where he is. Because every time he speaks, and he's confused. He said, "Hi, I'm Joe Biden's husband." No, sir, you're not. You're Jill Biden's husband.
He didn't know his sister from his wife. That wasn't so good either.
And he
Tuesday's a Thursday.
And he attacks people. He offends people. So hopefully he can stay on script, read the teleprompter, sit down, and let us go forward with the vision to make America great again, with this great American comeback that's happening, not because of Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, but solely because of President Trump and the leadership that he's providing this nation.
Well, let's be honest. This live program, The Real Joe Biden, is the only fun thing about the Sleep Fest, about the socialist meetup.
Right.
And what do you think, Stacey? Anything tomorrow? I mean, is there anything to look forward to at all? Or is it just another night of snooze fest, and maybe they'll be down 90% from last year for night 4?
So there is something to look forward to tomorrow night, and that is we'll be back here with more of this
Yes.
program
Right.
after they're done.
Okay.
You can look forward to
I
that.
like that. That's a good pick.
But I would say, so one thing I've been pretty upset about is, every one of us has someone in our life that has a family member who is elderly, and they're taking care of them. And so we kind of understand the process. And when we see Joe Biden out there on the campaign trail, when he should really be at the sunset of his life, he should be enjoying his grandchildren and spending time resting and relaxing.
How many grandchildren?
He
Is
said
it 5? Is it 7?
7, I believe,
Yeah.
but he says 5,
Right.
and they're his grandkids, so I'm not going to. I won't get in that mix. Though he can hash that out with Jill.
We'll leave it to him. Okay.
Right, but to have him out there like this, and to have his family not protecting him, it says a lot about the people that we're discussing tonight, and I think that's pretty sad.
But the thing is, who's going to protect America? They're not protecting him, but he's not the one that's going to protect us from our foreign or domestic. He is the problem. He's not the cure. He's not going to help. He's part of the problem, and he's not going to be the type of leader that we need, the type of leader that we want, because nothing in his track record in the past has shown him to be that way. So he's not going to protect us. He's not going to help us. He's not going to empower us. Joe Biden is a disaster.
And that's what this election is about.
It is.
It's about the future of America, protecting America, and not selling America down the road to China or whoever it is that Hunter Biden can make a buck of. Paris, thanks so much. We'll be right back on The Real Joe Biden. Don't forget, text Trump to 88022. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back with The Real Joe Biden. We're back with the real Joe Biden. I'm Boris Epstein, strategic advisor to Trump 2020. Joining us, Tim Murtaugh, the communications director for the campaign Trump 2020, and back, Stacey Washington, co-chair of Black Voices for Trump. Tim, I just heard something groundbreaking.
What's that?
You told me during the break that you were watching MSNBC. So what's going on over there? What's going on over there?
Well, I'll tell you, the folks over at MSNBC, they're just beside themselves with glee. And
Huh?
Yeah, because they were really just gushing about tonight's programming. They are. I found the 4 people in America who actually enjoyed watching tonight.
Who was on? Who was on?
It was Rachel Maddow and Brian Williams and Joy Reid and a couple of others, I think.
Wonderful.
The usual suspects.
Yeah, the usual suspects.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be able to shout at the TV and remind them of election night 2016. And I was actually watching MSNBC for a few minutes there when it was clear that President Trump was going to win.
Right.
I switched to MSNBC just to watch the reaction.
You.
Yeah, and
that was a good night in my life.
And so I think it's really encouraging to watch them being so happy tonight, knowing what is in store for them on the evening of November 3rd. And
what were they happy about? I mean, what did they watch a different night than we did?
They were happy about other things, things other than Joe Biden, because I think what we noticed in tonight's broadcast, just as it was in the earlier parts of the week, is that the Democrats have spent an awful long time avoiding discussing Joe Biden and what he's actually running on. He's running on raising taxes on more than 80% of Americans by $4 trillion. He's running on open borders and granting amnesty to 11 million illegal immigrants. And then he wants to give taxpayer-funded health care to those illegal immigrants. At the same time, he's providing them work permits so they can compete against Americans for jobs, just as we're coming out of the coronavirus crisis.
That's his big solution.
About the worst time you could ever possibly imagine helping illegal immigrants compete for jobs with Americans.
Stacey, does that make you excited like the MSNBC folks? You think does that come together to make America great again?
No.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to be so based about it, but no. I think about the night that you mentioned, the night that President Trump won, and we were this debate party watching thing. We do it at one friend's house, Chris, and she always hosts, and we were there.
Election night?
Okay. Election night. And so the time before, 4 years before, we were in the kitchen crying, all of us, because President Obama won a second term, and we were crying. And so this
that was
time,
Mitt's fault.
It was,
We're going to blame that on Mitt.
It was definitely Mitten's. It was him 100%. So here we are. He's won. But we don't know for sure, like not for certain. So we're kind of breaking up because we got kids to drop off in the morning. And so we go home and we're listening and we finally hear it. And so I didn't see them, literally their faces, turn.
They were actually crying.
Right. I saw some of on Fox where Megyn Kelly looked a little shocked when he won a state. But we literally, middle of the night, we figure out it's real. It's happened. He's won. The next morning, we're just flying in those minivans, dropping those kids off. And then we meet over at another friend's house for the post-debate party. We're drinking mimosas and we're living our lives. Post-election party. And so I think back to that. And Tim, I can't wait to do it again. I'm ready for President Trump to have 4 more years. And I'm saying this because I want to make sure and speak directly to camera for all of you who've been emailing me about how I'm selling out black people and I'm on the wrong side of history. Those emails are actually keyworded and they're headed into the spam folder because I'm busy working to reelect President Trump. I'm doing it because I'm a Christian. I'm a wife. I'm a mom. But most importantly, because he's the best tool for the job. He's given us 4 excellent years with one hand tied behind his back because of all of you. And so this time when he wins, accept it and let him get to making America great, keeping America great, and doing the things he promised us. Promises made, promises kept. I'm telling you that from my heart, people. Love what's coming to you on November 3rd. It's President Trump for 4 more years.
Yeah, he's
pretty well put, Hudson.
He's going to get 4 more years because he's earned 4 more years.
4 more years.
The President Trump built the world's best economy once, and it was
again.
interrupted. I don't think anybody should ever forget that this is a global pandemic. It's affecting every nation on Earth, right?
Came from China.
And it came from China. Joe Biden
didn't have to.
Joe Biden wants to resist pinpointing China as the country of origin. He has said already that he would send American tax dollars to the World Health Organization, which helped China cover up what was going on there. And we also know that Joe Biden would not have restricted travel from China like President
He said it was xenophobic to do so.
He said so we know he wouldn't have done it. And if Joe Biden had been president when the pandemic got underway, we would be in far worse position than we are right now. And so the pandemic happened, it came from China, and it interrupted the economy. But the president is already building it up a second time. The
V-shaped recovery.
The last 3 months are the 3 most job creation months in American history. 9.3 million jobs have been created just in the last 3 months, the single biggest job creation period in American history. He has earned 4 more years, absolutely.
The stock market is at an all-time high again. I mean, think about that, right? We went through a plague in this country. The stock market plunged, and now the S&P 500 has hit a record again. I mean, that is really almost unthinkable, and only due to the tax cuts that President Trump put in place, the deregulation, the trade deals, getting rid of NAFTA, which Barack Obama was obviously in favor of, and Joe Biden was a big part of actually instituting. Talk about the TPP that Joe Biden was in favor of. Of course, most favored status for China that Beijing Biden was all about. President Trump has fixed all that. He set up this cushion for this country. And then as soon as the plague came to us from China, he put in place the Paycheck Payment Protection Program.
Yes.
He put in place, he signed the CARES Act. He is taking care of Americans, and the executive orders just a few days ago, right? The new policies being put in place, the holiday and the payroll taxes. I mean, this president is doing everything he can. Could Joe Biden do anything even close? Would he even want to?
No, and speaking of, there's foreign policy, and it's something that people kind of skim over because right now we don't have a lot going on, but we do. We've spent $8 trillion in Afghanistan, and President Trump is the only president in the history of this country to say we need to bring troops back and then actually act on it and do it. And he has bipartisan opposition to that, but he's standing on promises he made to us on the campaign trail. And as a veteran, I can't think of anything that better serves to honor those who've served, especially those who've left their limbs over in the sand, those who've gone over and fought with no strategy, no mission, no tactics. They've come back here broken, suffering from PTSD, and President Trump says, you don't have to do that anymore. We don't need to be in Afghanistan anymore. We don't need 12,000 troops in Germany when they won't honor their commitment to NATO. He's the one who will actually allow consequences, natural consequences, to follow actions, which changes behavior. So that Trump doctrine is something that we can't forget, because Joe Biden will pile our troops up over in the Middle East. He will waste our blood and treasure, and he will never be held accountable for it. President Trump should be the one to go back into the White House in the next 4 years to complete the job that he has begun on behalf of veterans.
Stacey, you're a member of Veterans for Trump, so that is so important coming from you.
Yeah, very, very. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
Let's remember that it was Obama and Biden's own defense secretary, Robert Gates, who said that Joe Biden has been wrong on every foreign policy call in the last 4 decades. And watching President Obama speak tonight, I was reminded that if Obama had listened to Joe Biden, he never would have authorized the raid to go in and take out Osama bin Laden. And so, again, Joe Biden was wrong. And he says, oh, he was always the last guy in the room when I was making a big decision. And I guess that's probably because you want to hear what Joe Biden thinks as the last word, and then you do the opposite.
Right.
And then, because that makes it more effective. And so I want to go back to the economy for a second. Biden was on TV not too long ago. And
he was? Was he answering questions?
The interview is before he doesn't do press conferences. He will occasionally take friendly questions. And he was asked, do you think that we're going to see a V-shaped recovery economically? And he laughed, and he said, no, I don't. And, of course, we're seeing one. So he was wrong about that. But think of it this way. This is incredible. As the coronavirus hit us and damaged the economy, and we're on our way back, every time the jobs report comes out every month, you know Joe Biden is sitting at home in Delaware hoping for bad news.
For America.
For America. This is an incredible situation for a man who wants to be president of the United States to actively root against the fortunes of the American people. Because bad news for Americans, he thinks, is good news politically for him. That is pathetic. What a terrible situation to be in, and it really speaks volume, I think, to the cynicism.
And Tim, to piggyback off of that, they got that from Bill Maher on HBO, who said a few years ago that he wanted a recession. Sorry, but we need a recession because that's the only way we get rid of President Trump. That is the attitude that rules the Democrats right now. So is that what you want, people who want you to fail? Or do you want someone who's been successful, who wants you to be successful and is willing to get out of your way and pull the government out of your way, the regulations and all of the naysayers out of your way, so you can go get what's yours, which is success? Because we're Americans, for goodness sakes.
We're
Americans, right?
I actually think that what has happened, makes the president's economic argument even stronger, because Americans know. It's undeniable, because even the public polls that we dispute the sampling and how the polls are constructed, even those flawed polls can't hide the fact that Americans have high confidence in President Trump on the economy. And so when the worst happens, like this pandemic, and it affects the economy, it makes the president's message stronger, because they know he's the one who built it up in the first place, and they can see he's already doing it again. Biden is the one who has the record of presiding over the slowest economic recovery since the Great Depression, of having voted for NAFTA, as you mentioned, and now he's proposing to raise taxes by $4 trillion. At the same time, he would impose the Green New Deal on every person in this country and regulations on every business and every building.
Cow farts regulated. No cow farts anywhere.
You can't say
cows can't fart.
You can't say that on TV, I don't think. But he's an economy crusher, is Joe Biden. That's his record. Those are his proposals.
I like that, economy crusher.
It's an easy choice. The economic question is a no-brainer.
So we've had 3 nights. The first night was the night of boredom. Last night was the night of losers. Tonight was the night of retreads. What's tomorrow night? The night of sleep? The night of naps? What's tomorrow night?
Well, actually, I don't know what to expect. And that's not normally my thing. I usually can say, oh, I think I'm actually kind of flabbergasted by how bad it's been. I thought they would have put a little more effort into this, and they really haven't. So it's almost like one of those packages that you get and you can't remember what you ordered. And when you open it up, it's either they sent you the wrong thing or you're totally gleefully happy because it's what you ordered, right? So we're getting the mystery Amazon package tomorrow night.
The bad one.
The bad one.
The bad one.
The bad one.
What do you think, Tim? What's tomorrow?
I don't think it's going to be very exciting. I think that's breaking news here. I don't think it'll be very exciting. But, it's going to be risk-free. They know that Joe Biden is a disaster waiting to happen. And so it's not a very high-risk environment for him, right? He's going to go out. He's going to have his teleprompter. He's going to give a nice speech that somebody wrote for him. He's got his handlers there.
Is he going to mess it up?
Yes.
They're going to make it as easy as possible for him not to mess it up. It won't be very exciting. He won't brag about raising taxes by $4 trillion. He won't brag about giving work permits to illegal aliens so they can compete with American workers. He won't brag about the Green New Deal that he backs and all of the crazy things that are in that. He won't brag about having adopted Bernie Sanders' platform.
The Unity Plan,
and he
Communist Manifesto?
And he certainly won't admit to the fact that the liberal, extreme, radical takeover of his candidacy is complete. And his running mate, the most liberal senator in the United States Senate, further to the left than even Bernie Sanders in her voting record, he's not going to admit to all those things. I would rather talk about what I expect them not to talk about tomorrow.
What are they not going to talk about?
All those things.
Okay.
He's not going to talk about all the things that are in his platform, because if he were being truthful with the American people, they would turn him right off. So they can't be truthful.
And that's the real Joe Biden. We've had such a fun night. Tim, thank you for joining us. Stacey, it's been a blast. Folks, I've been told very specifically, Gary Kobe, somewhere around here, he said, be emphatic. Text Trump to 88022. This is the real Joe Biden. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.